What's up, wild people? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Alexandria Denise, and this is going to mark the start of my nature walk and talk. So I had a couple of ways I kind of wanted to do this, but I was like, what better way than to just walk out here in nature on a little trail walk, kind of like a therapeutic, just a walk and talk, so showing you the natural beauty, some of the places that I like to go and some of the beautiful scenes. So every now and then I will be stopping and just showing you some of the scenery, but today I actually wanted to talk about the whole BLM thing that's going on. If you don't know what that is, it's basically the Bureau of Land Management, and it's a big thing amongst the self-sufficient and hunting community, anybody that's into conservation and so on. So since this video right here, there has been a lot of good things to come about it, but we're gonna walk and talk about it. But if you're new to the channel, I hope you plan to stick around, subscribe to the tribe for more self-sufficient content, and let's attack this. So this was one of my favorite places to come out and work out during the Panini of 2020. So I don't know exactly the words I could say here. It's still YouTube friendly, but yeah, there used to be a pile of rocks over there that I would take it was also a tractor tire over there, so I would put a deer drag on it and just drag it across the field, or do some tire flips or some sort like that when the gyms went down. But it was a lot rockier than this. So they've made a lot of improvements and widened it out some. It also used to be some random goats over there and a truck yard, and they've since moved. So, but anywho, yeah. So Big Beautiful Bill is kind of where I hear this all started. It was packaged into this. So BLM was packaged into the Big Beautiful Bill as a way for the government to decrease this deficit. And it sounds good in theory, but I kind of don't think that it would work, So the idea was basically to sell off a lot of the government assets, somebody to take it off of their hands, and they put that towards decreasing the deficit. But not only that, it was also supposed to help combat the housing crisis, which is going to, offer a lot more housing opportunity for people to live. Now, we all know that that is not going to work. You can't build more houses to combat the housing crisis, which means they're trying to lower the cost of houses if there's a surplus. It's not like walking into a grocery store and now you have a surplus of onions or something. Now you can put some on sale so you can get rid of it. No. There are plenty of vacant houses that are around. It's just that it's not that they're not suitable, it's that people can't afford them. And I'm going to talk about this in one of my live streams, hopefully soon. I've just been working a lot, that a lot of corporations or investment firms are coming and monopolizing the housing market. So they're driving out people such as myself, who are first-time home buyers in single-family homes, and basically monopolizing the market. So that's what's happening, and why people can't afford houses on top of jobs and whatever else. So building more houses, especially in the terrain like out west, it's not going to help this situation, in my humble opinion. Now, I know, of course, like I say, all land is not suitable to build on, and also we just don't have enough resources here on this land. It takes softwood, I believe, to build a house, and your hardwood is more like your cabinets and whatever else. But true, a corporation can come along and be like, well, we'll just enter the lumber business and whatever, like the Emerson family, and buy up a whole lot of land and, tear it all down. Yeah, but, we can't really just control who buys the land. But that's the problem as well. The only people that have the money to buy, or the capital to buy the land, are the corporations. So even if you're talking about selling off public land, how many everyday people can just buy that land? So now there comes the monopolization and control of our natural resources. A lot of people are going to be left without. you know, and especially in today's age where, you know, folks, they can't really afford gas, yet alone food. But even if I'm teaching people how to be self-sufficient, you know, it's only so far it can go. So we're in a big wealth transfer here. And of course, a lot of folks are saying, well, the government is lobbying this and whoever else is lobbying to these people, and Democrats this or Republicans that. And honestly, I really don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I got an opinion for both sides, but it's like the only people that care about conservation are the people that care about conservation. The only people that care about nature are the people that care about nature. So talking about building, I know that President Trump, in one of his speeches, he said that a part of his mission was not only to beautify the cities and stuff that's already here in existence, but to also build more cities and continue the expansion out west. So it does make sense why this is packaged in the big beautiful bill. But knowing some of the people that already live out there in the west, they are facing extreme conditions to where I even saw a documentary where some people from Montana are moving from Montana because of the harsh winters. It's so small, they can't really get electricity. Well, they can get electricity, but it's, you know, it takes a lot to power some of those small cities and towns that are out west. You have windstorms, of course, wildfires, you have, you know, earthquakes and extreme winters to where some people, even if you buy the land, who are you going to get to live on it? You know, a lot of our cities are over here on the East Coast or the far West Coast. Nobody is really just in the Midwest like that. And to be recklessly selling off land and tearing down land and this, that, just to fix your financial crisis, it's like, you know, throwing good money out for bad in a sense. Also, who's going to buy this land? Is it going to be American owned companies, or is it going to be foreign companies? You know, I know that the state of Florida has banned certain people, or certain, well, let's just leave it at that, certain people from owning U.S. land, but who's to say other states aren't going to do the same? So, beautiful nature, you know, destruction right here. And I can just get past that. So yeah, it's getting night here on my trail. I was doing some things in the house, had a little energy, and decided to come on out, last minute walk. So here I am, getting it all in. But I'm gonna lose light here in a minute, but you know, that doesn't scare me. If you know hunters, we be out in the woods and they on 4 a.m. in the morning, climbing trees and all this other kind of stuff. So yeah. Got these old bones out. All right, cool. There we go. Why did I think that was something dead in the middle of the thing? But anyway. All right. So continuing on. Yeah, it's just a lot. You know, the problem is not more houses. We need more affordable houses. You know, also you got to think too what this means for our native wildlife. Now, I did in a video, I think it was Chasing Cottontail, where I briefly talk about how a lot of these deer that were in the area we had permission to hunt, you know, a lot of people, especially hunters, like to say we like to control their population or else they're gonna starve. And I'll talk about that in another video about what we mean, but basically it's not so much as a population problem with the animals. It's just the fact that we're tearing down the only places they have to go and making room for ourselves. We're encroaching on their territory. And as a hunter, I will admit that. That's why some hunters are like, oh, but coyotes are a problem. No, like, we are a problem. You know, we are. You don't respect the land you already have, and then you want to, you know, tear down more. I'm not saying us as hunters don't. I'm just saying humanity in general. We don't need to tear down more land. We just need to fix up the land that we're already occupying. You can't take all of it. But like I said, it's a fool's move to want to throw good money out for bad. You're using this to fix a problem today, but what about the problems of tomorrow? You know, nobody likes to think ahead of time. Everybody on this YOLO talking about we can only live for today. No, you got to live for the next day too. And that means preserving resources for generations to come, even if you don't think that you need it. So, you know, that's one of my little takes on the housing, but also now and wildlife, but also getting into us as hunters. It's hard enough to find hunting land that we can, you know, just do a little something on or whatever. But, you know, how can I say? We probably aren't the only contributors to conservation, but we are a part of it. And the government doesn't really give money to conservation like that. It does come through our land dollars. I mean, not our land dollars, our hunting license. It comes through fishing licenses. Any other people that want to get out there and enjoy hiking or foraging, or I hear even people of mobile homes, you know. That was surprising to me, but it makes sense. People that are nomadic, they go and they rent out some of these spaces to camp for the night or whatever like that, but that fee goes towards whatever the land that they're on. So yeah, that makes sense. And as I stated earlier, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on or what party, the people that care about it are the people that care about it. But luckily, I have heard, since making this video, I have heard that there are a few people on the Republican side that is all for repealing the bill. And I actually also heard through the grapevine that they were pressured so much. The governor or the senator, one of them, the governor of Utah, or it might have been Idaho or Wyoming, I think it was Utah though, has backed back on the selling of public land because they got just an overwhelming response from people that they didn't think that they were going to get. And that's good. We need to keep up that type of backlash to say, you know, we care about this. I know there are a lot of people that live their everyday lives in the city. They don't really think about, you know, nature trails or any of that kind of stuff. Some people probably don't have a clue who manages this stuff. They probably didn't even know what BLM was until then. Honestly, I kind of didn't even know, you know. I thought it was U.S. Fish and Wildlife. But even if we don't have BLM land here in Georgia, or not much of it, I hear there were people from all over the states that called out, pressured these senators, as they should, or governors, as they should, to repeal this. And that's a very good thing. People are popping fireworks. 4th of July is around the corner. So, yeah. But here in Georgia, we actually just lost pine log. It was north of Atlanta, kind of near Alatoona, but it was 40,000 acres of wilderness that's going to be torn down for a subdivision. I thought that was very ridiculous because I'm like, I live in the city. I pass by houses and stuff that are vacant every day. Well, not in the city, but I'm close enough. I'm around. You know, I pass by this stuff every day, of vacant land and so on that's just broken down. Why do we need to tear down so much wildlife to make something we already have? This was a pretty place. This actually used to be cleared out. I used to call it the beach because it was kind of sandy right there. But I would go down, like climb over this rail and just go down and sit by the stream. It was so peaceful and pretty. But yeah, there's also a beaver that lives here. I have footage of him at one point, but he lives over here with his little mate. But that's pretty cool. All right, so I thought that was really silly, you know? But that's the reality of it. And it does seem like ever since the election was over, especially here in Georgia, we've just been knocking down trees left, right, front, and center, building subdivisions and this, that, and whatever. You can't drive down the interstate without seeing a new apartment complex thrown up. And there's one thing I wanted to talk about in this live stream as well, is this how ridiculous it is that they're just throwing these houses up, you know. And some of the houses so close together you can, you know, just look out the window and spit on the next one. That's just how close they are. It used to be a time where people could own a good portion of land and have a quality built house. But the problem too is that a lot of contractors don't know where their next job is going to come from, so they're just trying to get the job done. So, but who can blame them in a sense if your livelihood is at stake because of all this uncertainty? But yeah, I just kind of wanted to touch on those points. I don't think that it's a very good idea to, especially packaging so much into, you know, a bill that has everything to do with like finances. I hear some health stuff up in there. I hear it's a lot. And it was also rushed to be passed, with some people sending it back and this and whatever. It couldn't get on terms of agreement. This was one of the things up in it. It's like one of those slide under the table. But no, we caught that. Us in the hunting, self-sufficiency, everything, we caught that. We're like, nope, you ain't doing that. Not on our dime. It's hard enough to get funding just to get hunting land as it is. So, yeah. And it's crazy too. I've talked about the corporations and how they're probably the only ones that can afford this. But, you know, you have to think what they're planning to do with the land if they can afford it. You know, I know that based off of the past, we can only assume the worst. Use it as a dumping ground or something. I don't know. But if the self-sufficiency lifestyle, you know, takes off, people get hip to providing for themselves again, I can only imagine that they would also monopolize and control that. Meaning, even if it's already being done through private land, how people are leasing out hunting land and so on, who's to say that the corporations won't buy up a crap load of land and then charge people just to come and hunt or fish or enjoy nature? It's like they demolish nature, they take it away, and they sell you an idea of it, if not try to sell it to you itself. And I think that's silly. So yeah, people that care about this, they care. And I know there are some people that probably come across this video and it's like, well, this don't affect me. Well, it will. In due time, it will. Because, you know, you don't see it now, you know, but when your job has failed you and everything in this society that's crumbling, not to make it seem like it's doomsday or something, but it kind of is. What are you going to come back to? You're going to come back to the natural world. You're going to want to be out here taking that therapeutic nature walk instead of just sitting on a therapist sofa or going to that other therapy site or whatever they've been talking about. This is therapeutic, just being out here. And I know I'm swatting away mosquitoes and whatever else as I walk. They're kind of annoying me. But, you know, you're going to want to come out here and forage. You're going to come out here and fish and hunt and even garden in your own yard. But you won't be able to do that because now you own nothing. They control everything. I know it sounds like I got something against corporations, but I don't have anything against all corporations. It's just the corrupt ones, and we know how that goes. You can't be too trusting, to be honest. I know it's dark now. I actually wanted to do this earlier, but yeah, like I said, other things. But I'm almost there. Still a pretty eerie sight. But yeah. So just something to think about, especially at the rate where AI is taking a lot of people's jobs. It's not everybody's job, but it's enough. And with that being said, speaking of AI, I actually read somewhere where AI, it takes a lot of resources to power, a lot of minerals, a lot of water that contributes to its cooling, and so on and so forth. And what's so funny is that it was AI that told me this when I Googled it. I was like, wow, the irony. Like, yes, taking your resources. So this isn't just a threat to humanity, it's a threat to just nature and the world in general. Now, there are things I like about AI. There are things that, of course, I don't. But knowing humans, we weaponize everything to where I already know people are not going to use this for what it's intended to be used for, which is just an enhancement of knowledge. You know, there's already people over here scheming. I've seen these AI influencers and so on. It's just wicked. It's wild. It's crazy. It's wilder than wild, you know? So, yeah, that's the craziness of it. And it's something that is better prevented than cured. And I think at this point, we do need to do something about that before it gets too much out of hand. So I know some folks, they're like, well, this ain't never gonna pertain to me because, you know, I enjoy clubbing or doing whatever in the city on the weekend. I'm not an outdoors person. One way or another, you know, one thing about this life is that everything circles around. And whether you live a domesticated lifestyle or one that you just, you know, are out here free, feral, and whatever else, it's gonna come back around. So never think that it's going to affect you, because all things come full circle. But yeah, that's just one thing I wanted to get off my chest today. But you guys get in the comment section, like and subscribe. Honestly, I mean, like the video if you want to like the video. I try to let my work speak for itself, but you know, YouTube just encourages me to say that and whatever else. And some people, they just forget. So yeah, like the video. More people need to hear this message. It would be nice if more people could hear this message. And tell me, do you agree? Do you disagree? This is in an echo chamber, you know. I'm okay with being challenged on my thoughts and opinions and whatever else. I mean, don't be a broody about it, but still, you know, it's one way that we have to feed off of each other and grow and some more stuff. So yeah, it's nighttime now. The vampires come out. I don't know, maybe I'm a vampire. Can y'all even see me? Nope. It's so dark and I'm light skinned. No. I don't glow in the dark. No. That's funny. Okay, but guys, I am anyway already here. As you can hear, back in captivity, back in the zoo, nearing my car, in the streets. But yeah, anyway, you guys, remember, until the next video, dig your roots deep, grow beyond your haters' reach, and stay wild.